Dads, I'm talking to you. Have you ever felt like your kids talk to you, but the connection isn't the same anymore? Like you're in the same house and you're doing the same things, but something about it just feels a little different. And the hard part is you can't really point to one moment when it changed. And if you're honest, it didn't happen overnight. So I'm going to be talking about how I reconnected with my kids. And I'll offer a couple things that you can do today to start reconnecting with yours. As a father, I've had years to watch this play out at home. I didn't notice it right away either. And there wasn't really a moment where I thought something's wrong, but it was a little bit smaller than that, like less talking and a little more routine, more just getting through the day. And at some point, I realized I still talk to my kids, but I'm not really having the same back and forth conversations the way we used to. Have you ever noticed when you talk to your kids when they're young, they can talk all day? Like when they're 5 or 6 years old, they have plenty to say and they don't mind telling you all about it. Then one day you notice that it's getting a little bit harder and harder to have a real conversation with your kids. It's almost like they've learned that if they say too much, they'll get in trouble. So they hold on to every word like it's precious. And I think this is where a lot of fathers get it wrong. We think something's broken, like there has to be some moment that we've missed or something that we need to fix all at once. But most of the time, nothing's broken. We just stop building the connection. Because as fathers, you have to realize we shift to a role or an identity that everybody in our house associates us with. We become the provider, the problem solver, the guy who makes sure that everything is handled. And there's nothing wrong with that, but somewhere along the way, we start talking to our kids instead of with them. We focus on what do you need? What needs to get done? Did you finish this? And less on how are you actually doing? What's going on in your head? And that kind of role as a father has trained them to believe that this is your role as dad. So let me ask you a question. Imagine we live in a library. Would you ask the security guard where a book is located in the library, or would you ask the librarian? You see, our roles define how somebody needs you. And I remember when I started noticing this shift. I'd ask my kids how their school day was, and I'd get the same answers every single time. It was good. It was fine. It was okay. That was it. No follow up, no details, nothing to build off of. And it was like pulling teeth just to get a conversation. And after a while, I started to realize something. They weren't opening up, not because I wasn't really giving them a reason to. I was asking surface level questions and getting surface level answers. Not because my kids hated me, it was because my role in the house was disciplinarian, the guy who makes sure all the homework is done, or the guy who asks if your room is cleaned up. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't losing my connection to them, I was just training them how to talk to me. If this is hitting home for you, I actually wrote this out in a simple guide. It breaks down the exact mistakes that created this kind of distance between you and your kids and how to start fixing it. It's totally free and the link's in the description. So here's the part that most guys don't want to hear. You don't rebuild connection with one big moment, you rebuild it with small ones. You've got to stop making every conversation about logistics. Not every interaction needs to be about what's next, what's due, what needs to happen. Sometimes it just needs to be a conversation. And here's how you connect this to your life. Think about your boss at work. Don't they want to know what you're working on or when you're going to get it done? They rarely ever ask you how you are. You see the connection? So now that your relationship at your work and your boss is always going to be on the surface, you're never really going to just talk and have a conversation because you were trained to talk to each other like that. It's the same thing at home with your kids. And this is where I started to change things for myself. I stopped asking questions that could be answered with one word. So instead of asking them how your day was, I started asking, what was the best part of your day? What did you actually enjoy with it? And who were you with when it happened? And whatever they said, I'd follow it up with, why? And at first it started to take a while to see a change. Like I was almost forcing a conversation, but over time those one-word answers started to turn into actual conversations. Not overnight, but little by little. They'd give me a little bit more and then they would open up a little bit longer and I would realize It wasn't that they didn't want to talk to me, they just needed a different way in. And the other thing I had to learn was it's okay to be silent because sometimes they're not going to open up right away. And if you fill every gap with talking, you're just not giving them space to step into it. I didn't lose the connection overnight, so I didn't think I was going to build it overnight either. But here's the part that matters. It's not gone. It just hasn't been built in a while. You don't need some big speech. You don't need to sit them down and try to figure everything out all at one time. You just need to start showing up a little bit differently and consistently. Because at the end of the day, your kids don't need a perfect father, they need a present one. And this is the kind of content that I'm trying to build here. It's for men who are trying to figure this all out in real time. Not perfect, just honest. If this connected with you, drop a comment and let me know what part of this hit home for you. And if there's something that you're going through right now and you just want to talk about it, leave it in the comments or over in the community tab. I read all of them. And all of these videos come directly from those conversations. Because life isn't hacked, it's built. And I'll see you in the next one.